Hello everyone and welcome to a wonderful game you guys suggested from round 8 of this year's Baku Open. So the penultimate round, it is Azerbaijani women Grandmaster Khanim Balajayeva versus Indian Grandmaster Harsha Bharathakoti. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of a rating difference going on here, but that will not stop Khanim from defeating a 2600 Grandmaster in only 16 moves. So as you can imagine, something has gone terribly wrong, or in her case, terribly right. So let's see what this is all about. Like I said, this is round 8. They're both doing great in the tournament. Only one loss each so far. So whoever took this one should go a long way, especially if you can finish on a high note in the final round. So let's see what happened in the game. We have pawn to e4 by Khanim, and Harsha replies with pawn to c5. He goes for the Sicilian defense and pawn to c3, the Alapin variation, much like Nepo played against Maxim yesterday. We have pawn to d5, a very principled decision, because now you don't have to worry about bringing your queen in too early into the game. The c3 square is already taken by the pawn, so you don't have to worry about wasting tempo with the queen. So e captures, queen captures, and now pawn to d4. And now usually you'll see knight to f6 here, knight to c6. Also e5 is very popular, e6 is popular. But here we have pawn to g6, going for that early bishop fianchetto. Knight to f3, and now bishop to g7. We have knight to e3, a very useful square for the knight, as you've seen in the game Nepo versus Maxim yesterday. Probably going for b5 or c4, or even bishop to c4 is possible in some lines. All depends on what black plays. So here knight to h6, and now bishop c4 can be played, and it's not a bad move. But then queen to e4 check comes in. You kind of have to trade queens, and it kind of takes the excitement out of the position. So she tries something different. She plays d captures on c5, which basically says, okay, we trade queens and then we play. A variation would go something like queen captures with check, king captures, knight g4 goes after the f2 pawn, but then you go bishop to b5 with check, knight to d7, and you can even play rook to e1, and it's a very nice game for both white and black. Point being that if you capture on f2, which of course is possible, then even king e2, let's say knight to g4, and then rook to d1, and black will have trouble developing here. So that's kind of the idea. But in the game, he played queen captures on c5. He kept the queens on the board. And now bishop to e3. She attacks the queen. We have queen to a5. And now there is a game where bishop to b5 check was played. But here we have knight to b5. And it is now, as of move 9, that we have a completely new game. So let's see how Harsha reacts to this. He plays bishop to d7. And this is not the best way to do this. The problem is, if you go for something like knight to d7, which is kind of what you should do, then you've secured the d8 square. Then b4 doesn't really do all that much. The problem is, if you play something like castles, b4 is well, just life-changing for white, as now the black queen doesn't have a good square, and you can't really lose control of the c7 square. Then the rook on a8 will hang. So here you kind of have to go back, and then after you trade queens, you no longer control c7, and then the rook will hang. You don't want to play this right away. First you want to capture here, captures, and then knight to c7, but yeah, the rook on a8 will suffer. So that's the idea. But in the game, bishop to d7 was played, and this allows this very tricky queen to d5 move. And the idea is that the queen on a5 is undefended. So imagine imagine a knight to d6 check here. The queen would just be lost. So how do you continue here? There are a couple of moves you could play. For example, castles is one such move, because now the king is not in range of the knight, but then you have to give up the b7 pawn. But this is maybe the best Harsha had, and here you have to sort of go bishop to c6, queen to c7, you offer a queen trade, so that's how you save the knight, and after the queen moves, you move the knight, and everything is perfectly fine. The game continues, white will be a little bit better. However, he wanted to defend everything. He played knight to c6, defends the pawn, defends the queen, but now comes bishop captures on h6. She definitely played this with engine-like precision. Bishop captures on h6, and now knight to e5. Again, taking control of the entire board, making sure knight captures on e5 is impossible, because the queen on a5 would again hang. If knight captures, then just knight to d6 check picks up the queen here. So instead, we have castles kingside here. And you might be thinking, but why not castles queenside? So we defend the bishop. Isn't that better? Well, you kind of could play this, but then again you lose the queen. Knight captures on c6, attacks the queen and the rook here, and after you recapture, still knight to d6 check will pick up the queen. But okay, black will get counterplay. Let's say rook captures queen. Now you do get bishop to d2 check, and after king to d2, let's say you double up on the d file, and this looks very scary. Okay, the two rooks are here, the bishop pair is here, you know, the bishop pair and the rook pair working together, but after something like f3, it seems that the white king will be safe. You're going to get your bishop into the game, you're going to get the rooks into the game, and white's position will be better in the long run. So instead, he went for castle here. He said, all right, I'm going to give back material just to survive. Maybe I can survive this. But now comes knight captures on d7, rook 8 to d8, pinning the knight now, and rook to d1. And here we have knight to b8, and now there is only one move to win this game, but that's not the move I'm interested in for you guys to find. But okay, you can even try it. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for white while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on achieving this, even though I tried to trick you a little bit by saying I'm not interested. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, of course, the move is pawn to b4. That is the winning move, as it often is, as here there's really no good square for the queen. The problem is, how do you play now? You can move the queen to a4, you can move the queen to a6. That's pretty much it. You don't have other squares. The problem is, if you play queen to a4, which keeps the queen in the game, but not for long, knight to c5 happens, attacks the queen and also attacks the rook on d8, and now you're really out of good options. Once you move the queen, or you trade, doesn't really matter, let's say move the queen, queen captures on d8, you even give up the queen, rook captures, queen captures with check, and now after king to g7, you don't want to move the rook away from the d file, then queen to c1 check will be annoying. So first bishop to c4, and now, okay, you want to capture on c3, deliver a check, so you play a6, and remember, this is if you know, assuming black would play the absolute best moves, now you just castle here. And now after a captures on b5, there's bishop to b3, a nice Zwischenzug with an attack on the queen. Queen captures, and only now you pick up the knight here. And after all is said and done, you have two rooks and the knight for the queen. And of course, this is very much winning for white. So instead, after this b4 move, he didn't go queen to a4. Harsha played queen to a6, but now he runs into a different trick. That, of course, is knight captures on b8. And he was in this position on move 16 that Harsha Bharathakoti resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is, well, there are a couple of moves you could consider, like maybe capturing the queen on d5. But let's say you try this, rook captures on d5. Now comes knight captures on a6. And now after rook captures on d1 with check, king captures. Even rook to d8 with check, king to c2. You can even play rook to d2 with check, king b3 and pick up the knight on a6. White is always up a piece at the end of the line. Let's say knight captures on a7, doesn't really matter what you do. Rook captures, bishop captures, and now you're up a piece, you're up a full knight, and also once those pawns start marching forward, there's really no counterplay here. And another thing, after knight captures on b8, okay, you don't have to trade queens, you could play rook captures on b8, but then pretty much any move you can play and you're still up material. Bishop e2, you castle, and that's pretty much it. Even if something like rook f to d8, you can give up the queen for two rooks, but you don't even have to. You can play queen to c4 and still it's very much winning for white. Let's say rook captures on d1, bishop captures on d1, now rook to d8, it doesn't matter, just bishop b3. Black will have to waste a move to defend this, and after pawn to e6, just castles, and you are up a full piece. Of course, this is completely winning. So absolutely crushing game by Khanim Balajayeva, and also a crushing tournament here. These are her standings after 8 rounds. You can see she started with a very nice win against a very strong Grandmaster Vladislav Kovalev, and then 4 draws against 4 Grandmasters, then a loss against an international master Ihor Samunekov, and then 2 wins against 2 Indian Grandmasters, Bharat Subramanian and Harsha Bharathakoti. So interestingly, out of the 8 games that she played, she did not lose a single game against the Grandmasters. She even defeated 3 of them and drew against 4, but she loses the Ukrainian international master Igor Samonekov. So, you know, what are you going to do? But there is still one more game. There's still round 9. I believe there are nine rounds. I don't want to trick you guys, so let me just check real quickly. Yeah, there are 9 rounds, which start round 9 starts tomorrow. So we'll see if she will be able to pick up a win. If she picks up a win, then she will definitely finish nicely. She's currently number 13 in the tournament, so with a win in the final round, will definitely be in the top 10. Just how far we will have to see. So yeah, a great game, taking down a 2600 Grandmaster in 16 moves, not a small feat. So hope you enjoyed that, and I mean, you have to know, if you're a Sicilian player or if you play this against the Sicilian quite a lot, you have to know the Alapin variation. It can, you know, be deadly for black and for white, as you've seen how Nepo played it against Maxim Vashilagrav yesterday. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank Ravishing Reptiles YouTube, Lord of Bones, Mazin Elsarag, thank you for videos, and Dr. Heisenberg for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of everything that's happening in the chess world, and well, just checking up on your wonderful suggestions as I usually do. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.